Most people run from pain. They run from the grind. They avoid anything that makes them uncomfortable. But the truth, that's where all the growth is hiding. You want to change your life. You want to become someone no one saw coming, then you need to force yourself to suffer. I'm not talking about suffering for the sake of it. I'm talking about deliberate, calculated suffering. The kind that sharpens your mind and strengthens your will. The kind that turns weakness into power. You think David Goggins became who he is by doing what was easy? Hell no. He ran on broken legs. He stayed in freezing water till his skin peeled off. He woke up when everyone else was asleep. Not because he liked pain, but because he respected it. Because he knew that suffering builds calluses on your mind. Most people go through life doing everything they can to stay comfortable. They chase convenience, avoid stress, and sidestep discomfort like it's something toxic. But here's the truth that most don't want to hear. Growth begins where comfort ends. If you're always seeking ease, you're never going to find out what you're truly made of. Everything worthwhile, every ounce of strength, discipline, and resilience lies on the other side of suffering. Think about it. Has anything great in your life ever come without a struggle? The best versions of ourselves are forged from fire. We don't become better by coasting, we become better by going through something. Whether it's waking up before the sun to train, pushing through a hard workout when your body is screaming to stop, or grinding through the late nights and early mornings chasing your dream, these are the moments that shape you. Not when everything is easy. Not when you feel good. But when everything in you says quit, and you choose to keep going anyway. Comfort is seductive. It lulls you into thinking you're okay when you're actually stuck. It tells you it's fine to skip today because you worked hard yesterday. It whispers lies to keep you where you are. But the people who break out, the people who change their lives and the lives of others, they're the ones who deliberately walk into discomfort. They don't wait for life to test them, they test themselves every single day. They understand that suffering is not the enemy. It's the path. When you force yourself to suffer on purpose, you take back control. You stop being at the mercy of your emotions, your doubts, your excuses. You stop living reactive and you start living deliberate. Because suffering isn't just about pain. It's about choosing to put yourself in situations that demand more from you. It's about confronting the part of you that wants to stay small and telling it no. Not today. Every time you make that choice, you grow. Not just physically. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You become someone who can be counted on by yourself and by others. That's the beauty of pain. It's honest. It doesn't lie to you like comfort does. Pain reveals your weaknesses and gives you a chance to strengthen them. It strips away the fluff and shows you what you're really made of. And if you keep coming back day after day, pushing through the discomfort, something changes. You stop fearing pain. You stop running from the work. You start chasing it because you know that every drop of sweat, every moment of struggle is making you into something greater than you were yesterday. And look, it's not going to be pretty. You're going to doubt yourself. You'll want to quit. You'll have days when you feel broken. But those are the days that matter most because that's where the shift happens. When you prove to yourself that you don't need to feel good to do good, that you don't need motivation to move forward, that your limits weren't real. They were just your mind's way of protecting you from discomfort. So if you want more from life, if you want to become something extraordinary, then stop avoiding the pain. Stop chasing comfort. Start forcing yourself to suffer, not to punish yourself, but to forge yourself. You will come out stronger, sharper, and more alive than you've ever been. Because on the other side of suffering is a version of you that's been waiting to be unleashed. And the only way to meet and wait them is to earn it through the fire. Pain is a word that makes people flinch. It's something most try to avoid at all costs. From the moment we're born, we're taught to move away from discomfort, to soothe it, numb it, run from it. But here's the paradox. Pain is not your enemy. It's your greatest ally if you know how to use it. Pain is a tool. It's feedback. It tells you exactly where the edges, where your limits are hiding. And more importantly, it tells you where the opportunity for growth lies. We've been conditioned to think of pain as a stop sign. When something hurts, we pull back. We convince ourselves that it's not worth it. That maybe we weren't meant for this. That maybe it's just not the right time. But what if pain wasn't a reason to stop? What if it was the green light? The signal that you're finally pushing into a space that matters. Because let's be honest, nothing meaningful comes without a price. And that price is usually pain, discomfort, and sacrifice. David Goggins says suffering is the true test of life. And he's right. You don't really know yourself until you've been broken. Until you've gone past the point where your body says, I can't, and your mind says, you must. That's where the real growth starts, not at mile 1. But at mile 20, when your legs are numb and your lungs are on fire, and every part of you wants to quit. That's where you find out who you are. That's when you realize how much you've been leaving on the table your whole life because you mistook pain for a wall instead of a door. The truth is, pain is pure. It doesn't lie. It doesn't sugarcoat anything. It tells you when you're weak. It tells you when you've been slacking. It exposes the places you've been hiding from. But it also gives you a chance to respond, a chance to step up, to lean into the burn instead of backing away, to get stronger in the process, not despite the pain, but because of it. Most people won't do that. They'll tap out early. They'll take the shortcut. They'll avoid anything that feels too intense. And that's fine if you're okay being average. If you're okay waking up one day realizing you played it safe your whole life. But if you want to be different, if you want to be excellent, then you have to start seeing pain differently. You have to welcome it. Not in some masochistic way, but in a disciplined, strategic way. You use it to carve out the version of yourself you've always wanted to become. Pain forces clarity. It forces presence. When you're in pain, everything unnecessary fades away. You stop thinking about distractions. You stop worrying about what people think. You become fully immersed in the moment, and in that moment, you're given a choice, breakdown or breakthrough. One leads to excuses. The other leads to transformation. So the next time pain shows up, pay attention. You don't retreat. Don't whine. Don't make it personal. Use it. Let it guide you to the next level. That burning in your legs, that ache in your chest, that doubt in your head is not there to punish you. It's there to wake you up, to sharpen you, to invite you into the fire where the weak parts of you can be burned away, leaving only the strong behind. Pain is not a threat. It's a compass. Follow it and you'll find the version of yourself that's been hiding behind comfort all along. Suffering builds mental calluses, just like physical calluses form when your skin is exposed to friction and pressure over time. Your mind becomes tougher every time you voluntarily walk into discomfort and push through it. Every moment you choose the hard road when you decide to run in the cold, lift when you're sore, or sit with your emotions. Instead of distracting yourself, you're layering resilience onto your mind. The process isn't glamorous. It's gritty. It's uncomfortable. And sometimes it feels lonely. But that's exactly the point. Growth doesn't come when things are easy. It comes when you're forced to adapt, to endure, to face yourself and rise anyway. People often underestimate the power of the mind. We train our bodies, we chase goals, we set routines, but how often do we train the part of ourselves that controls it all? Your body will do what your mind tells it to. If your mind is soft, you'll quit the second things get uncomfortable. If your mind is weak, you'll believe every excuse it feeds you. But when you've trained your mind through suffering, when you've stayed in the storm and come out the other side, something changes. That mental voice that once screamed, I can't, starts to whisper, keep going. And then it starts to shout it. Building mental calluses isn't about punishing yourself. It's about preparing yourself. Life is unpredictable. Challenges will come whether you're ready or not. When you choose to suffer on your own terms, you're building a mental armor that shields you when things get real. When everyone else is panicking, breaking down, folding under pressure, you've already been through worse. You've voluntarily made yourself uncomfortable every day, so now discomfort doesn't shake you. It doesn't scare you. It's familiar. And because of that, you're calm when others are chaotic. You're steady when the world is falling apart. This mindset isn't something you're born with. It's built slowly, intentionally. Every time you get up when you don't want to. Every time you finish what you started, even when your motivation is long gone. Every time you hear that little voice telling you to quit and you answer with not today. These are the reps that count. This is how the mental callus grows thicker. Over time, those little decisions stack up. Suddenly, things that used to break you barely faze you. You've raised the threshold for pain, for doubt, for fear. Now you move through life with a quiet mind, knowing you've earned your strength. The beauty of this process is that it's all in your control. You don't need money, fancy gear, or a perfect situation to build mental calluses. You just need to show up for yourself, to push a little farther every day, to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And when you do, you'll notice the shift not just in how you perform, but in how you carry yourself. You'll walk taller, think clearer, act with more purpose, because you've been tested and you know what you're capable. Suffering done with intention reveals your power. And when you choose it, instead of avoiding it, you stop being a volume of your circumstances and start becoming the architect of your mind. You begin to see that the pain you feared is actually the path to freedom. Because once your mind is hardened, life doesn't get easier, but you get even stronger. And that strength is what carries you through everything that follows. That strength is what separates you from the crowd. That strength is who you really are beneath the excuses, beyond the doubt, forged in fire and ready for whatever comes next. Discipline over motivation, this is the dividing line between people who chase goals and people who achieve them. Motivation is flashy. It's the burst of energy you feel after watching an inspiring video or hearing a powerful quote. It's the fire that burns bright for a moment. But like all fires without fuel, it fades. Discipline, on the other hand, is quiet. It's not loud or dramatic. It doesn't need an audience. It's getting up early when the bed is warm and your body's tired. It's doing the work even when every part of you wants to take the day off. Discipline is what remains when motivation disappears. It's the engine that keeps you moving forward long after the excitement wears off. People love to wait for the perfect mood or the right timing. They say things like, I just need to get motivated, or I'll start when I feel ready. But the truth is, waiting for motivation is a trap. It teaches you to be reactive. It puts your progress in the hands of your emotions. And emotions are unpredictable. They're tied to comfort, mood, energy, and even the weather. If you and life show up when you feel like it, you'll never build anything lasting. Discipline is a choice. It's a decision you make over and over, day after day, until it becomes a part of who you are. It doesn't rely on mood or inspiration. It simply asks what needs to be done, and then it does it. That's the secret behind high performers, elite athletes, special forces operators, successful entrepreneurs. They don't live bursts of motivation. They build routines, habits, and systems around discipline because they know that consistency beats intensity every time. One good workout doesn't change you. One healthy meal doesn't transform your body. But doing it again and again, even when you don't want to, that's where the change happens. Think of discipline like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. The first time you wake up early or push through a workout you didn't feel like doing, it's tough. You'll want to hit snooze. You'll want to skip the reps. But if you push through, something happens. You prove to yourself that you can do hard things. And every time you do that, you reinforce the message that you're in control, not your laziness, not your cravings, not your doubt. You are. And sure, motivation can help you start. It can give you the initial spark. But discipline is the structure that keeps the fire going when things get hard. It's what carries you through setbacks, bad days, and long stretches where progress feels invisible. It's what separates those who wish from those who win. The people you admire are the ones crushing their goals and living lives of impact. They aren't superhuman. They just stopped negotiating with their excuses. It made discipline a non-negotiable part of their identity. They turn, I don't feel like it, into I'm doing it anyway. That mindset, repeated over time, creates unstoppable momentum. So don't wait for motivation to find you. It won't. Instead, build the discipline to move without it. Show up. Do the work. Do it when it's hard. Do it when it's boring. Do it when no one is watching. That's the grind. That's the edge. When you train yourself to choose discipline, you don't just reach goals, you become someone capable of achieving any goal. Because the person who can suffer without motivation and still move forward is the person who can do anything. Most people spend their lives waiting for struggle to find them. They sit back, comfortable in routine, hoping that when life gets hard, they'll rise to the occasion. But that's a dangerous mindset. The truth is, when struggle hits, and it doesn't send a warning. It doesn't give you time to prepare. It just arrives unannounced, and if you haven't trained for it, it'll break you. That's why you can't wait to be tested. You have to test yourself. You have to seek the struggle. Create it. Chase it. And through that voluntary suffering, you become prepared for the real thing when it shows up. People hear the word suffer and think of pain as punishment. But suffering with purpose is something different. It's a mindset, a strategy, a lifestyle. It's waking up and saying, what can I do today that's hard? What can I do today that will stretch me, make me uncomfortable, sharpen me? It might be running when your body's tired, lifting more than you think you can handle, doing cold exposure, fasting, or tackling the things you've been avoiding mentally. These aren't random acts of torture. They're deliberate drills in becoming stronger mentally, emotionally, and physically. When you train yourself to suffer, you stop fearing discomfort. And when you're not afraid of discomfort, life opens up. You're no longer paralyzed by challenges. You stop hesitating. You stop flinching. You've already experienced hard. You've already stared it in the face and moved through it. So when the real chaos hits, the heartbreak, the loss, the unexpected failure, you're not scrambling to find strength. You've already built it. It's in your system. It's automatic. Seeking struggle also keeps your ego in check. When life is too easy, your ego starts whispering lies. It tells you you've arrived, that you're doing enough, that you're above the basics. But when you voluntarily do hard things, when you intentionally put yourself through discomfort, you're reminded of how far you still have to go. That humility is powerful. It keeps you hungry. It keeps you grounded. And most importantly, it keeps you growing. There's also something incredibly honest about struggle. It strips away everything that doesn't matter. When you're deep in a hard workout or pushing through a fear or enduring discomfort, you chose you're raw. You're real. There's no room for pretending. There's no mask. And in that space, you discover who you really are. You see what you're made of. You hear the voice that says quit, and you get to decide if you'll listen. When you practice suffering, you become more than just disciplined. You become dangerous in the best way. Not to others, but to your own limitations. You become the kind of person who's ready for anything. Who doesn't break when life gets hard because you've already been there? You've already lived in that fire. And because of that, you carry a strength that most never find, not because they're not capable, but because they never chose to go find it. You don't need a tragedy to become tough. You don't need a crisis to get serious. You can choose hard now. You can decide today to start building the muscle of suffering so that when the storm comes, you're already steady. You're already trained. You're already dangerous. That's the whole idea. Don't wait for the test. Be the test. Seek the struggle, and you'll never be unprepared again. Suffering reveals who you are in a way that nothing else can. When everything is going right, when the sun is shining, the plan is working, and life feels easy, it's simple to appear strong. It's easy to talk big, stay motivated, and act like you've got everything figured out. But none of that matters when things fall apart. When you're exhausted, broken, doubting yourself, and standing face to face with pain, that's when the real you shows up. And that's when your true character steps forward. Not the version you post online, not the version you want people to see, but the raw, unfiltered you. And that's what makes suffering powerful. It doesn't just test you, it reveals you. When you voluntarily suffer, you step into that space intentionally. You strip away the distractions, the comfort, the excuses. You willingly expose yourself to the grind because you know there's no growth without that confrontation. And what you discover in those moments is priceless. You find out what your default setting is under pressure. Do you fight? Do you freeze? Do you complain? Do you adapt? That knowledge is everything, because once you know who you really are in the fire, you can begin to shape who you want to become. Most people never meet themselves at that level. They live insulated lives, always chasing comfort, always doing the bare minimum to avoid pain. They say things like, I can't, or I'm just not wired that way, without ever pushing far enough to find out what they're truly capable of. But suffering takes the limits off. It forces you past the surface level. It drags you deep into the parts of yourself you don't visit often, the places where your fear, insecurity, and self-doubt live. And if you stay in that space long enough, you start to build a new relationship with those parts. You stop running from them. You learn how to carry them. And eventually you learn how to rise above them. The truth is, you need to see yourself fail sometimes. You need to see yourself fall, break, and feel that raw edge of struggle. Because in that moment, you're given a choice. You can back down and return to safety, or you can get up, face the pain, and move forward anyway. Every time you choose the latter, you build something unshakable inside yourself. You prove that your value isn't tied to how comfortable you are or how easy the path is, but to how you respond when it gets brutally hard. This is why suffering is not something to fear or avoid. It's something to embrace. It's not about being miserable for the sake of it. It's about forging yourself. It's about burning away the weakness, the lies, the self-imposed limits, and coming out the other side with clarity and confidence. Because once you've seen what you're capable of under pressure, you walk through life differently. You no longer need to talk tough. You just are tough. You don't need to pretend. Your actions speak for themselves. You've earned the kind of self-respect that can't be given or faked. It's built in the fire. So if you want to know who you really are, if you want to become someone solid and unshakable, step into suffering. Stop avoiding it. Stop numbing it. Go toward it. Because in that struggle, you'll find the real you. The one that doesn't back down. The one that doesn't need hype. The one that keeps showing up. That version of you is already inside. The suffering is just the key to unlock it.